Last time out on the M4J network, I undertook a major rebuilding of the Gardcity southwestern route, ready for trains to start running shortly. With that little rebuilding project complete, it's time to head back to the Sanley situation. Can I finally get trains running on the western reaches south? Well, there's only one way to find out. Hey everyone, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the new M4J network here on openttd. Bit of a misleading name, that one, I've realised over the weeks, because it implies that it's a brand new network, and it's not. It's more like M4J Network Redux is the actual premise of what we're doing here. But never mind, I digress. We're at Sanley. We need to get this working. We need to get this working today. Hopefully we will get this working today. And by this I mean the western reaches south, which will occupy all of these platforms here, all the electrified platforms basically. The overhead electrified platforms will be occupied, fingers crossed, by the end of this episode. And then we can start looking at the next franchise, as well as carrying on our little rebuilding projects that I was talking about at the start of the episode here, and also in the last episode too. So what are the plans? Well, believe it or not, getting the western reaches south working has nothing to do with the western reaches south itself. It has quite a lot to do with the western reaches north. Because, this isn't where I want to be, over here at Moningpool Falls is where the two meet. Technically it's down at Preybourne, which is here. But it's actually up at Moningpool Falls where the problems start. Where are the departures? Where are the trains? What time is it? 4:28. There's one due at 4:34. Okay. Yeah, Plindon Junction's actually quite full. I was quite surprised by that. But then I suppose we've got a stopping train from Moningpool Falls, a semi-fast from Gardcity, and a semi-fast from Sunnington, sorry. And I'm guessing that I've got those the right way around. Damn it, you're the Gardcity train. You're going to be the Sunnington train, and you are the Moningpool Falls train. Oh, you come from Wenfingfield, not Moningpool Falls. Well, there you go then. There is an extra platform, though, if we did want to run more electric services up and down the coast here. I don't think we will be, but you never know. Sorry, I've distracted myself already. That's a good start, isn't it? This is where the problems lie, though, because, especially north of Moningpool Falls, from Bedtown here upwards, we have quite a lot of trains operating along this stretch. Just to do the maths quickly, and I think I can do this in my head without the use of a calculator, but we'll see. On the western reaches north, we have 2 express trains an hour, plus another 2 express trains an hour. So that's already 4 trains an hour. So that's 1 every 15 minutes. We also have 2 semi-fast trains. So that's 6 in total. That's a train every 10 minutes. Plus another another 2 semi-fast trains per hour. So that's 8. What's 60 divided by 8? It's approximately 7 point something. So that's a train every 7 minutes, essentially. And I think that's all of... Oh, no. Moningpool Falls to Sunnington as well. That's another 2. So that's 10 trains. There's a train every 6 minutes, apparently. That's on average, by the way. Not literally every 6 minutes. But if we look at this here, you leave at 16:34. 5 minutes later, there's one. 2 minutes after that, there's one. 3 minutes after that, there's one. 1 minute after that, there's... Actually, you're all... yeah, no, you're not all travelling in the same direction. Muppet. So yeah, 34. 5 minutes later, there's one. 13 minutes after that, there's one. And then 1 minute after that, there's one. And then 11 minutes after that, there's one. And then, 5 minutes again. And I think it loops at that point, doesn't it? Yeah. So actually, they're not all... Huh, okay. Yeah, they're not all running through here like I thought they would be, but I digress. What we're going to do today, though, is try and eliminate most of that. We're kind of going to do a bit of a network reset in terms of the frequency and stuff, because that's part of the problem. And I've already talked about this. If you've watched Wednesday's video, which was everything wrong with my timetable programs, I strongly suggest you check that out if you're interested in that project. But in that video, I basically say everything I don't like about this system. And one of the things that really bugs me is if you make a mistake or if you wish to make a change, it's an absolute pain in the neck, because I can't just go and tweak the frequency of the services and say, instead of every 30 minutes, I want you to run every 60 minutes, because there's no automatic update process to actually do that. So what I'm going to have to do, and this is why I say it's almost like a total network reset, is I have to go and change the frequencies of all of these from half hourly to hourly. Because the rest of the services, it might make it sound like I'm just cutting services entirely, but I'm actually not, because what I'm planning on doing is some of the express services that are being cut. So basically we're halving the number of express trains running up through here. In fact, we're doing more than that even, because we're also taking out the Gardcity St Michael to Sunnington train that stops more frequently. So that one stops at Bending Head, Wardham North and Bedtown Mill, whereas the other one doesn't. Excuse me. That will also remove that weird thing here where the slower of the two expresses stops in this platform and the faster one overtakes it. That won't be an issue anymore. So that's kind of exciting. But again, to stop distracting myself, to make up those gaps, first of all, we're going to have the express services operating on the Western Reaches South that are going to come up from Sanley to Sunnington. That will take one of the slots. And then one of the other sets of slots is going to be taken up by the West Coast franchise, which doesn't even exist yet. But that will run between, you know, Sunnington and Fort Flonwood and Kindinghatton and places like that. Basically fills the gaps where the Western Reaches doesn't. Which also means that the Western Reaches service between Sunnington and Plindon may actually become a West Coast service in the future and be operated by a different operator entirely. That's the beauty of this network, actually. It's starting to become quite fluid. Anyway, to stop wasting time, we need to start finding the trains that we're going to cut. Actually, look, this is demonstrating it for us perfectly, what we're about to remove. So if I come back down here to Bedtown, what you'll see, this train will move in a second. It'll get out of the way. There you go. That's off to Morningpool Falls. The first APT, as that one passes through, the first APT is going to come through here and stop. There you go. The one behind it is then going to pass it on the passing loop. Now, I don't want this anymore. I want this to no longer be the case. So we're actually going to keep the faster of the two, this one here, and we're going to remove the slower of the two, which is this one here. Now, I could have done it the other way around, but the semi-fast services that come through here to Sunnington also stop at the same stations that the stopper train here does. So it makes sense to actually just remove this one. So I need to select, of course there's 4. Why would there be less than 4? That would be too easy, wouldn't it? So I need to pin you. What number are you? You're not the top one. Doesn't actually matter in this instance. That one. And that one. Ah, you're in the right spot. That's good. Because you, we're going to skip. So you're already unloaded. Let's pause the game quickly so we don't mess this up. You are going to skip to there. And we're going to follow you back to the depot. So yeah, sorry. What I mean by total network reset is we are going to change all of the frequencies on the Western Reaches North from half hourly to hourly. And there's also one that runs every 20 minutes. And because of that, we're going to change that one to possibly, I was going to say 15 minutes, but maybe just 30. Because then you still run more frequently. And actually, that's a Wenfingfield train. I'm happy with that one being hourly. So running between Gardcity and Wenfingfield, because that's quite a short journey. But between Morningpool Falls and Gardcity, that could still potentially be half hourly. Really, it's only the trains to Sunnington that actually need to change their frequency. So maybe I'll just change those ones for now and leave the other ones. So all trains that run to and from Sunnington will have their frequencies changed from 30 minutes to 60. That is correct. I don't know why I doubted myself there then. Then to make up for that, we'll have the Western Reaches South trains fill the gaps, and West Coast. But that's for another video. We're not going to worry about that today. The reason it has to be a total reset is because, as I pointed out in Wednesday's video, you can't just change a frequency and everything automatically updates. I'm going to have to go through and run the journey creators again. Actually, will I? No, I won't. I'll have to run the timetable generator again. And in doing that, I'll have to choose the correct start and end times to match up with what we've got here. But the stop times won't be the same. So that's going to be a bit of a pain. Yeah, that will be a massive bit of a pain, actually. But then I've also got to run the conflict detector again to compare the new timetables to make sure that they don't conflict. And that's going to be the bit that's the biggest pain in the neck, in all honesty. Do I have signals running west here? I don't think I do. I guess because they're just after the platforms. But that doesn't make much sense. Oops. There we go. That looks a bit better. Yeah, I don't see why that got messed up. Weird. Anyway, this train is motoring along at its top speed, which is 125 miles per hour. Audi Gex did comment on the 2 episodes ago video, I believe it was, saying there is a parameter that you can change in the settings, the new GRF settings, that will allow the train to run faster. I was aware of that setting already. The reason I haven't selected it is because what it does is change the speed of the trains from their in-service top speed to their design top speed. So in the case of the APT here, yes, it will increase the speed to around 150 something miles an hour, but the downside to that is something like the Intercity 225, the Class 91, that's top speed will go up to 140 miles per hour, which in theory is what it was designed to do, and it can do that in service, were the signaling and things ever made for it. But it's not the level of realism that I want, because let's be honest here, if people can see their trains can go 140 miles an hour, they're going to want their trains to go 140 miles an hour, and the inner realism person inside me will be screaming at that. So it's not that I'm 100% against it, it's just I'm not 100% for it, if that makes sense, you know. It's what I'd rather not do. So we'll see about that. We'll see about that. But for now, I'm going to rule that out entirely and just say these trains are stuck at 125 miles per hour. Right, should we speed this up a little bit? Get this train back. We're basically going to do what we did a couple of episodes ago where we cut some services. We're going to run this one back to the depot, and then we're going to stop it, essentially. What I'm going to do here, though, and I've actually done this over at Gunway on the Great Northern, is I'm going to create a new train in the depot to take the orders and the scheduled dispatch and all of that from this train. And the reason I do that is because if I was just to stop this in the depot, like I have done with the other ones, I might be able to show you actually. If I just pause it a sec and head over to St. Elizabeth, which I can never find here, and do departures. Yeah, this. I don't want this. It breaks the departure boards, essentially. I don't know if this is a bug or if it's an expected behavior, but the fact that this happens is quite annoying. So what I'll have to do here, I mean, I'm not going to do it now, but I'll do it for this one so you can see. Let it run back to the depot first, and then I'll show you. Right, into the depot. I guess you're going to occupy these front tracks here as well. Oh, something else to do with Moningpool Lake depot here. Something Mastertram's commented on the last video about is apparently these sidings here should be accessible. And apparently he's spoken to some developers of openttd, and they don't know why they're inaccessible. I thought it was either a distance from the signal thing, so these are just too far away, or it's a pathfinding thing where the train sits here because it thinks going all the way back to here is more of a penalty than waiting for these tracks here to vacate. Which I can kind of understand were it to be like 5 minutes before a train was due to depart. But when it's evening time and the trains are going to bed and it has to sit here for 4 hours waiting for the sidings to clear up, I don't think that's a penalty thing. I think that's a bug, a glitch, whatever you want to call it. So there's something not quite right still with the pathfinding. So these 5 tracks should be accessible, but they're not, which is a bit of a pain. Why that is, I've no idea, but it is what it is. So you are just going to be stopped here. You're not going to go anywhere else. I need to check which depot you are from. This back one here. What are you? You don't have a group. Okay, well you're going to get reused. Hopefully in a minute. So what I do is I just buy this planet loco because it's the easiest one to get. It's right at the top. We do this. And then we leave it. We don't touch it. Simple as that. Actually, we do touch it very briefly because we need to... and actually, I did this wrong over at the Great Northern as well. So I'm just going to fix that problem quickly. Where's Great Northern? There. So it was 1, 2... No, you are still operating. It is... Oh, they've got the things next to them, haven't they? Of course they have. So I need to find... Oh, you're the one I've just done. So you're fine. I need to find the other 2. Interesting. I definitely bought... Oh, I might not have saved it, actually. Thinking about it. Bear with me, folks. My brain hasn't quite switched on yet today. Did I save it? No, I must have saved it. Why would I have done something like that and then not saved it? Because I did something like that and didn't save it, apparently. Okay, well, I'll go back and do that again in a bit. So Gardcity St George is going to have a broken departure board right now as well. Cool. Western reaches north. Down here. We need to find... What one are you, actually? You are 1W. Not that it matters, because it's all going to get changed soon anyway. And then I need to change your name so that you've got the X-X. There we go. That takes it to the bottom. Was it a capital X or was it a lowercase? I don't think it matters. It was a lowercase. I got it right the first time. Got to stop doubting myself. Right. Oh yeah, that one's been decommissioned as well. Of course it has. So you are going to add shared vehicles. There we go. And now this one, to get rid of that departure board issue, we're going to hit stop sharing and we're going to hit delete. So you've now got no orders. You are a blank canvas, which is awesome because that means we can keep the orders on this one in case we ever do bring the service back. But because these sit in the depot, they are invisible trains, as it were. They're never going to be operational, which is very beneficial to this process. I'm just talking absolute gibberish here, aren't I? It means we can reintroduce the service in the future, if we so wish, without having to completely re-add all of the orders and the scheduled dispatch and everything. We will have to change the times, possibly, but not everything else. So it's fine. It's good. Right, we're going to hurry you back. Reset your late counter. Same with you. Reset your late counter. Because we essentially want... Well, I mean, you're going to end up really early at Sunnington anyway, but that's fine. We just want to speed up this little process a little bit because I'm just looking at the time. We've been going for almost 20 minutes already, and we're no closer to actually getting this done. What time are you due back at Gardcity? 17:07. That's fine. Was it now 1700? So yeah, 7 minutes. That's pretty good going. In fact, you're just arriving now. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. There you go. Wait till you're empty. These things unload really slowly. I like the way it says where the passengers are from, though. That's cool. There we go. And now you are going to skip to this one. You're the next one to come back. We'll speed up time again. Just check. Are you... It says you're early. I think that's fine. The fast train's going to be really confused here, isn't it? Really confused. Yeah, I guess we just wait now. This one's almost back. Top left one. I might as well explain to you what my plan is whilst we're doing this. So, as I said, we're going to cut all of these services down from half hourly to hourly. So we're essentially going to halve the number of trains running on the Sunnington line. But because we're removing this express train as well, that's another, I guess, 1 an hour now technically, but 2 an hour that we're currently removing. On the Western Reaches South, this is going to be easier to do because we haven't initiated any trains yet here. We're going to cut all of the Gardcity to Sanley Central direct running trains for now. We may introduce them later as like a 2 in the morning out, 2 in the evening return type thing. The Sanley Central to Sunnington train that doesn't stop everywhere, the express one, we're going to cut that one. Gardcity St Michael to New Puston semi-fast we're going to cut. So we've only got the semi-fast now to Kidinghatton. It stops at New Puston anyway, so it makes sense. Same thing on the opposite side. We're going to have the Sanley to New Puston semi-fast cut because we've got one to Fort Flonwood. So again, it does the same route pretty much. In fact, it does literally do the same route. It just carries on beyond New Puston. It does carry on past New Puston to Fort Flonwood, where there's more space for terminating trains. And that's it. We're going to cut those 4. And hopefully, in cutting these 5 services, we will find a way to thread everything together and make it work. If we don't, I am stuffed. I have no idea what the solution will be, other than cutting even more. Because the Western Reaches South ones, they're all hourly, apart from the stoppers, which are half hourly. And I'm hoping we've got the track capacity to handle all of that. Something I hadn't really thought of when I was doing all of this, and I guess that's where the database will also come into use, is when you're looking at individual services, when you're planning them all and setting them all up and things like that, you're only thinking 1 train an hour or 2 trains an hour. But what you need is a total... what's the word? It needs to accumulate at the bottom, basically, and tell you how many trains will be occupying that track, that section of line per hour. Because having a train every 7.5 minutes, or whatever it was we worked out earlier, is actually quite dense. I think the West Coast Main Line still is the busiest in the in England. I don't know about in the UK. And I'm pretty certain getting a train every 7 minutes along there is normal. But on here, with my lack of experience, it's going to be a tough ask for me. And because I've created the program as well, it's going to be a tough ask to get that to work, because I'm using my knowledge in order to create that. Next victim is going to be this one here. I might go and do the rest of this off camera, actually. I've basically told you what the plan is. So what I will be doing shortly is getting rid of these last 2 trains here. And then I'll be changing the frequency of all of the Western Reaches North. And I am going to do all of them, even if like the 20-minute might become a 30-minute. All the stopping trains might just stay as they are, to be honest. But having it all redone would be beneficial for this. I might even have a look at the Northwestern as well and see if there's anything I can do there. I don't think there is, to be honest. I don't believe so. But that was having some problems too. And actually the new version of the conflict detector may have fixed all those issues anyway. So we'll see. But I will take all of the complete schedules, run them through the conflict detector again, and hopefully I'll have a resolution for you guys in just a moment. Alrighty, I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is I had to make more service cuts to the Western Reaches South. The good news is, in doing so, I have found a solution to the conflicts. And because of that, we can actually run some trains today, which is awesome. Let's be honest here, we're making compromise after compromise here in order to make this work. But I think that's something that actually has to happen in the real world. I was doing some more reading. I think I mentioned earlier in this episode, or I might have mentioned it in the episode on Wednesday. I've been recording all of these at the same time, so it's really hard to keep track as to what I've said in what video. But I was doing some reading recently in my railway magazine, and it talked about the East Coast Main Line and how the new timetable that will be coming in next month, in December, and how compromises had to be made. And apparently there were no guarantees to operators that they'll be able to actually run all the services that they wanted, which is an interesting thing for the modern day railway to have to go through. But I think that's something that I've come to realize with this network is compromises will have to be made. You know, I might want to run 3 trains an hour along the fast lines here, which are these ones, down to Sanley, but it might not be possible for various reasons. One of the reasons is I've discovered another massive flaw with my current conflict detector, some of which is fixable, actually, some of which not. But I've actually written them down because there were 3 things that happened when I was trying to get the southern side of the Western Reaches here to work. There were 2 services in particular that kept conflicting with one another, and they only conflicted at 2 stations. And I kept thinking, why? Why is this happening at these 2 specific stations every single time I ran the program? Because bear in mind, the program is random. It chooses stations at random to adjust. And yet each time, these same 2 services were conflicting at the same 2 stations. And I found the problem. And I actually managed to fix it, which is incredibly exciting. Just to give you a quick rundown then, the services that have faced the axe on the Western Reaches South. Actually, we'll do the Western Reaches North one first, because that was always part of the plan. Gardcity St Michael to Sunnington, stopping at Bendinghead, Wenfingfield Western, Wardham North, Morningpool Falls and Bedtown Mill. That service is kaput. No longer exists. It is gone. The trains are stored at the depot. I can show you them actually at Morningpool Lake. There they are. I was about to say, why have you stopped? But no, you're just going really slowly. Actually, there's lots of trains stored at the depot right now because we're coming towards the end of the operating day. So some of these are part of the problem here. Or have been actually, I think it's these 2 up here were taken out of service. Yeah, there you go. But actually, something I had to do as part of this resolution, I'm sort of all over the place here, I apologise. We'll get some trains running in a second as well and it'll be glorious. One of the things I had to do is a complete reset of all of the schedules. I actually took them all back to their very first output from when I very first generated their timetables. And that's every single service on every single franchise. So that includes the Western Reaches North, that includes Northwestern, up here, out of Sunnington. That also includes Great Northern out of GSG, West Winds out of GSE, and also... Actually, that's all of them, isn't it? I think that's all of them so far. I was surprised, actually, how little franchises we had operating here. We will have 3 more coming soon, not including the one today, because next episode we're going to go back to working on Gardcity Southern this time around for master trams. But... yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, cutting services. That was it. Very important thing. Very sad. We actually lost one off Northwestern as well. Somewhere. The Sunnington to Warnbridge Airport service I cut as well. And the reason I cut that was actually because of a very stupid thing I did. Where, it's another flaw with the program. When you finish doing the conflict detector and you download all the programs, it doesn't tell you which service belongs to which franchise. So I was trying to move everything to where it needed to go. and accidentally put the Sunnington to Warnbridge Airport service into Western Reaches North instead of Northwestern. By the time I'd found that mistake, I'd already gone and actually removed the Warnbridge Airport service from Northwestern because I assumed I'd deleted it previously and forgotten about it. So that service has now been suspended. It may come back in the future, but in doing the suspension, I realised that it was actually that service that was holding up the express coming back to Sunnington from Beffingway. So I might have actually killed some birds with stones here by removing the really slow Warnbridge train from the line here. I think I actually cleared a path for the express now to come through, which was one of the big issues when we got Northwestern up and running, was the express return was being blocked by a slow train. So that's one good thing that's come out of this as well. The other cuts then, for Western Reaches South, some of them are absolute cuts, they're not coming back, and some of them are suspended, and I've noted those ones down separately on my spreadsheet. So the ones that are cut, they are X-X in the little notes thing. The ones that are suspended are S-S. And the ones that are S-S right now are GSMI here, down to Kidinghatton Airport Parkway Express. That one was a bit of a pain in the neck, so I just suspended it for now. Sanley to Sunnington is also suspended, the one that stops at basically all of the main stations along the way. That actually falls under the same umbrella as the one I'm about to talk about, the slow and the semi-fast, and how I got those to work, but we'll come back to that in a second. Gardcity to New Puston stopper as well. That's also been suspended, but it could come back in the future. We will see. So the ones that were causing me grief, they were the Sanley to Fort Flonwood Parkway semi-fast and stopping trains. And no matter what I did, I will find the culprits. Where are they? It was just after Kidinghatton. Yes, it wasn't this stop. It was this one, Froningpool, and this one, Bonston. The trains were clashing. And I was like, what's going on? Why is this a thing? And I realised what had happened was the classic case of, and I talk about this in my Everything Wrong video that went out on Wednesday. Here, the slow train was leaving the station, I think 4 minutes before the fast train. By the time we get to Froningpool, the faster train, I say fast, the semi-fast as it was, so the faster of the two trains had caught up. And there was a 30-second overlap here, where the slow train was occupying the platform and the faster train needed to occupy it. And there was a 0.5 minute overlap. The same thing then happened on this side, where the semi-fast was catching up to the slow and having to wait again. The reason it wasn't then spreading onto here was because the programs saw the semi-fast train arriving here first, which I think it was technically doing here to start with, and then some changes were made and that became a thing. But yeah, there was an occupancy overlap at Froningpool, there was an occupancy overlap at Bonston, and by the time we got here, Readinghead Cross, the semi-fast was actually timetabled ahead of the slow train by enough time that there was no occupancy overlap. So this highlights that problem I was talking about, where the actual overtake is happening between stations. So there's no timing point. There's nowhere for the program to see that there would be an overlap there. But here and here, they were scheduled to occupy the platform at the same time. And therefore, it wouldn't work. And I think actually this one, the semi-fast, was still timetabled ahead, but there was that overlap. So the actual overtake on track, as it were, would have taken place here. Obviously, that's a huge problem. But I kept thinking, why is the program not fixing this? Why is it not doing the flexi schedule process and actually finding a solution? And it's three things were happening in the background that were causing this. The first thing I thought of was, well, why don't we try and timetable the fast train ahead of the slow train? And the reason we can't do that is because the semi-fast train operates hourly, the stopping train operates half hourly. So if I timetabled the semi-fast ahead of the stopper, which it actually already is by 5 minutes, it's actually catching the one before that. So what I mean is the semi-fast is leaving at The first departure of the day is at 6:85. No, sorry, 3:85. Got that completely wrong, which is 6:25 a.m. The stopping train behind it is leaving 5 minutes later at 3:90 or sorry, I've just realised. No, yeah, that is right. 6:30 is 3:90, I believe. Yeah, because 3:60 is 6. This is where sometimes I get a little bit confused. I wrote this stuff as well, and I get confused by it. 3:60 is 360 elapsed minutes after midnight, which is 6 a.m. 3:85 is 6:25, and then 3:90 is 6:30. So 6:30 a.m., 5 minutes after the semi-fast, the stopper leaves. But 30 minutes before that, at 6 a.m. exactly, another stopping train leaves on the same service, and that's the one that's getting caught, is the one before. So then I thought, well, why don't we move the stopping train so that it only leaves like 2 minutes after the semi-fast. That was great until over here somewhere it was actually catching the one in front still. Basically, we couldn't shift the departure times from Sanley because the faster train was always catching the slower train. So then I thought, well, why don't we find a place on the way back before the conflicts occur, which, as you remember, is here at Froningpool and here at Bonston. Why don't we find a location where the trains can overtake? So first of all, I looked at Fort Flonwood, which is where both services terminate. And I looked here and I was like, well, there's platform occupancy, so we can have 2 trains sat here at the same time. Could we hold the slow train long enough to let the semi-fast leave first again? No, is the answer to that, because we'd have had to have held the stopping train here for beyond its maximum turnaround time, which I believe is the frequency. And I think we'd have had to have held it here for over... Actually, I don't think it was over 30 minutes. I wish I'd brought the notepad with me. I had all the times written down. But we essentially would have had to have held the train here for a stupidly long time. And because of the way that turnaround times work in this current system, delaying it here would shorten the turnaround time at the other end. And I think it actually breached the minimum layover time. So that was off the table. So then I started looking along the line. I was like, well, where else can we actually have an overtake? We could potentially send the semi-fast down the fast lines here, but then that gets in the way of an express train. And if we block the platforms and stuff here, that's not great either. And I was like, the only real place we could do it, New Puston was a potential one as well. But again, we'd have had to have held it longer than its minimum dwell time. Maximum dwell time at an intermediate station. So I think here there's still like a 6 or 7 minute gap maybe between them. I can't remember off the top of my head. And actually looking at it now, maybe we could have made this work if we extended the turnaround time at Fort Flonwood as well. The solution I came up with was Kindinghatton. The trains were close enough here that a solution could be found. And what I had to do was manually change the stop times at 2 of the stations, and I think I have them. Let me find them quickly because they're very obvious which ones I've changed. Yeah, New Puston on the return. The stopping train sits here for 3 minutes. Previously, it sat here for 2. So it gets held by an extra minute. And then at Kindinghatton, where it also previously was held for 2, it's now held for 5. So we've added 4 minutes to the return time of this service. And in doing so, the slow train arrives first, the semi-fast arrives next to it, departs ahead of it, and then the slow train leaves 30 seconds after. And that's because the slow train stops here at Frintford and the semi-fast doesn't. And that creates a nice minute window here where the fast train can pull away. Now, why did the program not do this itself? There are 3 main reasons. The first one, and this is the one that's least relevant to this, to be honest, is the simulated annealing process, the flexi schedule process, only adjusts one schedule at a time. Now, because one thing I debated doing was having the faster train here wait less as well. I didn't actually do that in the end. I only adjusted one. So in theory, this could still have worked if the program had only adjusted one at a time. Although, I say here, it can only adjust one schedule at a time. It also only adjusts one dwell time at a time as well. And I adjusted two in order to make this work. The one at New Puston and the one at Kindinghatton. So this still wouldn't have worked if it had just adjusted the times itself. So that's the first thing. Because I wanted to pull the trains around so that there could be an overtake occur here at Kindinghatton. And we had to do it manually. Offsetting the faster or slower schedule, which is something else I just talked about, moving the departure times from Sanley or moving the departure time from Fort Flonwood, actually caused a conflict elsewhere along the line. In most cases, it caused a conflict on the outward legs heading towards Fort Flonwood rather than on the return legs. And the reason that the stop time here couldn't be adjusted to the time it needed, which was, I think even originally 5 minutes would have been sufficient. The resolution involved adjusting a stop from 2 minutes to 5, which was an adjustment of 3 minutes. The maximum increment for either stopping or semi-fast is 2 minutes. So resolution wasn't possible automatically. So this is the one thing I can actually go back into the code and change and fix this. I have limits on the incremental steps that adjustments can be made in. And on both the stopping and the semi-fast, that limit is 2 minutes. If I'd have just upped it to 3, this would have solved itself automatically, I reckon. But because I didn't do that, it didn't work. And this is the flaw. This is the flaw that I was talking about in the other video, and this is the flaw I'm going to talk about here as well. It's very limiting in what this program can do. It just so happened that I found a scenario where 3 separate things went wrong. But at the same time, it is very limiting how this works. And it cost us in many ways because I had to go through and manually adjust these things. But what that has made me realise is some of the other services that had this problem. So over at Portfield, here, we had some express trains clashing. We also had a couple of the slower trains clash here as well. There is the possibility that I could actually fix that by manually going through the stop times again and fixing them. I have an amended version of the spreadsheet here where it's only got the actual in-service times. It hasn't got the timing trains. And I reckon I can possibly shoehorn this to make it work. Possibly. No promises on that. But right now, there are 6 services that we can bring into service now. And those are, if I find the thing, the Gardcity St Michael to Sanley train stopping at Fort Flonwood Parkway, Kindinghatton Airport Parkway, and that's it. The Sanley Central to Fort Flonwood Parkway Express that stops at Pufingford Promenade, Tenley, Kindinghatton Airport Parkway, New Puston and Sannington. The GSMI to Kindinghatton Airport Parkway semi-fast, the Sanley to Fort Flonwood Parkway semi-fast, and then the GSMI to Fort Flonwood stopper and the Sanley to Fort Flonwood stopper. That is 6, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 services we can bring into play right here, right now. So I think I'm going to go away and do that. Maybe we'll make it a time lapse. Quick as a flash for you all, 1.5 hours for me. But we are done. We have all 6 services here ready to go. Just another quick recap. We've got the stopping service here from Gardcity to Fort Flonwood. There's a semi-fast service which will be from Gardcity to Kingdinghatton Airport Parkway. I'll tell you why that one hasn't started in just a second. We've got the APTs here. You see I bought a new one and then I sold it because I realised I had 2 parked in the siding, and that's exactly what they were for. This runs express from Gardcity all the way down to Sanley. And then over here, we've got the express from Sanley to Fort Flonwood. We've got a semi-fast from Sanley to Fort Flonwood. And we've got the stopper from Sanley to Fort Flonwood. All being well, they should all have their running times and dwell times locked. No changes to be made there. They should all run smoothly. And technically we're ready to go. The reason I haven't launched these units yet is because I don't actually know what number to give them for the database, the rolling stock database. So I might quickly look up IRM-IV. And then train. See if it comes up on Wikipedia. NSVIRM. There we go. I just want to get an idea as to their running numbers. Where does it say? There you go. Formation 6 cars or 4. Do I have a 6-car version? I don't think I have access to a 6-car version. VIRM. No, I only have access to a 4-car version. Okay. That must be a later edition. Me and Master Trams have been in talks about maybe extending the timeline of the network a little bit. Originally it was set in 1993. Then I changed it to 1994 so that I could have the high-speed trains, the Eurostars, running. Then it got pushed to 1997 so that I could have some more what I thought of as classic rolling stock, but turned out not to be the case. And now we're talking about maybe pushing it to 98 just to have access to a few more third rail 100-mile-an-hour units. But we'll see about that. It might not actually happen yet. We will see. I need to get the running numbers of these though. What numbers? Why can't I find them? Here. So 9400 to 9500 appears to be the 4-car units. So maybe I'll just number them in those ranges. Let me get up my rolling stock database, rail vehicle database, and then I need to find. I might put it at the start of the electrified units here. I'm just going to call them verms. I won't call them bisons. Right, I need to untick all of these. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now. Apologies. But this is going to be all useful stuff to eventually put into the database. So, let's go with 9401. Subclass, technically there isn't one. Actually, 95. I'm going to do 9501 because I think I've just misread what it said on Wikipedia. So 9501. All of these units are coupled. So let's just drag this down to whatever I need it. Oh, for once, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Normally on Google Sheets, it adds 1 to the number when you drag it down. But for some reason this time, it did not. There we go. I don't think I need that many of these, so we should be all right. But yeah, 9501. Let's have you coupled to 9510. So this unit here, you are going to be, I don't even need that anymore. You are 9501. And then if I come back over here, I could technically just do it as a clone, but I'm going to do it this way. VIRM. Buy a new one of you. You are 95. 10. And you are going to be coupled. You are that one, aren't you? Yeah, and you are that one. So you are going to be coupled to that. And that's the complete train. And 9510 is also coupled, and you are coupled to 9501. Then we're going to skip a couple of numbers, because why would we do consecutive numbers? That's too easy, right? So now we're going to do 9505. And you are going to copy from this train here. I'm going to do add shared vehicles. Now, I believe we only need 2 here. This is going to make my life a little bit easier. So 9505, you are now done. And we're going to tick coupled there. And you're going to be coupled to 9506, because I just want to keep things simple on this one. 9505, and you are coupled as well. And then we buy another new one of these. You are 9506. If I have got these numbers wrong, by the way, do let me know. But it might be a bit tricky to change it at that point. Right. If I have done my maths correctly, and I will check on this now, semi-fast between Gardcity and... You're Gardcity and Kindinghatton, actually, aren't you? Not Fort Flonwood. I just want to check that as well. Yeah. So you go all the way down to Kindinghatton. You only need 2 units. Correct. And then the Sanley to Fort Flonwood, you also only need 2 units. And it is literally just these double-decker trains where I need to do this, because the other ones, these ones here, I can number these individually because I'm just going to use the number of the loco. And it's only because I'm coupling these together. If I was to break these apart now, that keeps its number, 9506. So that's the only reason I'm doing it, is so that I don't lose the number of the unit. There's no other logical reason to it. Now you, I believe, are the timing train, aren't you? Yeah, so the one I need to add to is 250, which is this one here. You are going to be 9514. There we go, 9514, and you are going to couple to 9522. So I need to go new vehicles, Verm. There we go, 9522. And find you. See with that one, and you drag it into that one. And now that should all be that train there. Yep, awesome. And then finally, because again, you just need 2. Yep. So you just need 2, so therefore we are going to buy another one of you. You're going to copy from that one, and you are going to be number 9512, and you're going to be coupled to 9508. So 9512 and 9508. So you are 9512, and you 9508, and drag you onto you. I like sometimes having the higher numbered unit at the front. There's no reason at all why that wouldn't be the case. So yeah, there we go. Now I need to number, so the express units there are done, but the express units here are not done. And how many do you need? So you are Sanley to Fort Flonwood as well. I think it is just 2, right? I cannot tell you because my image has gone all blurry. There we go, 2. So this chap here, if I go to the 370s, 370... I think I've done, yeah. I tried to choose random numbers. Let's say 0, yeah. 370038 you're going to be. 370038. And then your clone, which again I could just use the clone tool, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it this way because this is more efficient. First of all, you are going to copy from this one. There. We're going to add shared vehicles there. And you are going to be maybe 50. 370050. Yep, that one's available. 370050. And there you go. That's that one done. So we can close that again for a second. In terms of the stopping trains then, so just to check, both of these electric ones here are, both 370, sorry, are numbered. So I do need to change them on here quickly. So 62. You are now Western Reaches South. Again, I know you can't see what I'm doing right now. I apologize for that. You are GSMI to Sanley Central, but you are still based at Morningpool Lake. And the other one to get that treatment is 94, which is directly below it on my sheet here, which is lovely. The verms, I will put those that info in at some point in the future as well. But yeah, the only other thing that I need to worry about then are these. And you are BR143s. Again, I just want to get some numbers. DR class, that's a 243. Deutsche Bahn lists the locomotive as class 143. Okie dokie. I might do this off camera actually, because we really don't need to worry about it on here. And I do just want to get these trains running. So the stopper between... oh, hang on. Did I miss one? Nope. Just me being dumb. The stopper between Gardcity and Fort Flonwood already has 2. So I guess you're ready to go. Oh, yeah, they're the 2 I did over here. Yeah, you're fine. But these ones, you need 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And as I said, I'll number them off camera because that's fine. Whoops. We are ready to go, but I do just want to make sure. Let's unpause the game. Both of these trains are running. Let's get these ones out as well. Let's just do that. I do want to make sure they come out in some kind of sequence so that they don't get mixed up when they're because we're, oh god, it's end of the day right now. By the time they come out for their service the next day, I want to make sure they come out in the same order they went in, pretty much. So yeah, we're going to try and do this a bit more controlled. These two should just be a case of doing that. Morningpool Lake West. Oh, hang on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you have... Yeah, you do. So why are you being stupid? Spin you round, and then this one as well. Spin you round. Okay. And then you also... Right, yeah. 7:22 now is when you leave. We should have the conditional order, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Alrighty. Nice, nice. Everything appears to be in order then, I think, for this side. So that's the Gardcity side sorted. Now we need to focus on this side, which is... we'll send the expresses out first. Why not? We can speed... Oops, wrong button. We can speed up time a little bit on these. Get them out and into their sidings. And then we can look at getting the slow ones out. And then we're done. So yeah, these ones at the back here, I think, are 7 long. So they can fit an APT. These ones at the front are only 6 long. he says as that one comes out and occupies it. Well, that's really stupid, isn't it? I'll fix that in a minute as well. Whatever. Let's get these ones out then. So you first, you second, and then finally, yep, that one's coming out, so we'll get you out now. Then you. This is so satisfying now to see this actually pretty much set up and established and working. Because there was genuinely a point where I thought this wasn't going to happen. So I'm very happy that we've got all this in a state where it is functioning. We'll get you out and then you. Awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy that we've got all this now functioning and working, and we've got trains running. I'm going to be following these trains now just to make sure everything is okay. If there are a couple of little hiccups, then I'm not going to worry too much. But if there's some major issues, then obviously I'm going to worry a lot of much. I'm also going to redo the signalling here to stop these long trains from going into these sidings. Hopefully these back sidings will be accessible, but I have a feeling they might not be. So that could be an issue that needs resolving as well. But otherwise, we're good. We're done. Next episode, as I said, we're going to be heading back to the Gardcity Southern network, and we're actually going to be working on Gardcity Southern itself. So that should be a good one. So make sure you come back for that next time around. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series so far. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you for your continued support. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and until next time, I will see you soon.